swear I saw the pain. It couldn't be worse, but it's close enough to hurt. Bitter.
Let's take one. Hey, Savannah, stand right here with Miss Elli Perry
Hi.
at the infamous Victory North Savannah, where we will have our 5th annual Homegrown Summer Jam coming up July 18th, just a week away. And I invited Elli to come down and tell us a little bit about her, and we appreciate you making the time. I hear it was a bit of a hard commute for you today.
You know, fighting Chatham County traffic is never fun.
Never a dull moment. I mean, really, we can't complain about traffic in the sense of like real cities.
I think everyone is allowed to complain about traffic, but sure, comparatively,
True
I
point.
suppose we can't.
True point. I love it. Well, Elli is one of our featured artists, and I just wanted to talk to her a little bit about what's going on with her. I did just get an email recently with your new video, which was very powerful. I
Is
feel
that
like
a
there should be a warning sign, like
a trigger warning.
a trigger warning ahead of time. Close enough to hurt.
Correct.
Did I get that right?
You did.
Oh my God, great song.
Thank
I
you.
really loved it. Why don't you
Thank
tell
you
us
so
a little
much.
bit about the making of that video?
Sure. The video has been out for a couple weeks, and I think it took less than 2 days for snarky suggestions on the internet to start rolling in that it had been made using AI.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. It is so well filmed
Thank you.
that I could see that.
I'm
That's
pretty
funny.
sure that that's some sort of compliment or achievement
Yeah.
in particular corners of the internet.
Well, I just happen to know that
It was not made with AI.
those bugs were real.
The bugs were real.
This snake was real. The spider was real.
Correct. Yeah, the roaches were unfortunately real.
You had to lead with the roaches.
I did.
Wow.
Well, you suggested that there should have been a trigger warning, and maybe there should have my two closest.
I didn't see the one up in your hair, the second one at first.
It was not one singular in my hair. There were so many more in my hair than you could see on camera.
Oh my.
It was a trial, to use the Southern parlance. My two closest friends are arachnophobes, and when we were like very, very intense arachnophobes, and when we were planning the shoot, and I realized that the idea of the tarantula was going to come to fruition, I had to ask both of them, if there's a tarantula crawling on my face in the music video, will you refuse to watch it? And I told myself that if they both said no, I would nix it.
Right.
One of them said, yes, but I'll scream. And the other said, I'll watch the video, but you have to give me timestamps so I can
Right.
skip over the tarantula.
Right.
So I decided that was as close to a blessing as I was going to get.
I liked the spider and the snake, but
The spider was chill. And I love snakes. I always have.
and roaches don't hurt you. They
Psychologically.
I-
The roaches were not fun.
total tangent.
Sure.
My dog Blake oftentimes will come up underneath me, and he's got a furry tail.
Sure.
So his wagging tail will brush against my leg, and I'll be like,
Little
"Oh,
duster.
isn't that great?" And one day it was a roach and not him.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, you know what? For all of that time, I was perfectly okay with it, and so maybe I should just change my perspective.
Just pretend that it's Blake every time. The animal handlers who provided the roaches kept assuring me, and they had to keep reminding me that this particular species of roach they're sterile. They're not vectors.
Right.
They are not our palmetto bugs that
Right.
we all scream at around the house here.
And visually, even more stimulating, I guess. The armor look.
Yeah. We're just talking a lot about bugs, and I'm not talking any about the video, but I've had so many people ask, who made you do this? And then I have to follow up with, well, actually, it was my idea.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I didn't know if it was a little bit of groupthink because I
No.
know you've got a good posse.
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have an amazing team. Drew Cullen Miller is the director of the video, and he's basically a third partner in this project. It's me.
And
Oh,
you
I
mean
just
it's all right.
no.
Not just this video, but in what you're doing right
Correct.
now.
In the entirety of my record release,
Okay.
it's me, and then Andrew Sovine, who most of Savannah knows, and who I'm sure we'll talk about, and Drew Cullen
Shout out
Miller.
to Backroom Studio.
Yeah, Backroom Record Studios. And then Drew Cullen Miller. Drew has been filming the entirety of the process that went into making this
Well,
record.
I've seen
for
quite a
year
bit
and
of it, and it's all very good.
Well, there's several dozen hours left of footage that nobody's seen yet.
Oh, I know. They just keep it coming. I love it.
He was there filming the very first day that Andrew and I ever played together, and he just kept coming and kept shooting more. So he's documented a ton, and that's a much bigger project that we'll share more about over the coming months. But he's doing all the video media to support this record release.
And is he from Savannah?
He's not from Savannah,
Or
but
based?
he's been here a long time.
Okay,
Yeah, he's based
okay,
here. He's
okay.
based here.
That's
He's
what I meant.
local. He's been in Georgia for over 10 years now.
Great.
And we've known each other for a really long time, and we worked together on projects prior to this record. But when I started working out of Andrew's studio on this record, he came over, and so basically the three of us are partners in this much larger project that encompasses a full-length record and a lot of film content.
Right.
But as far as the music videos go,
but that was
I've always storyboarded all my own music videos,
Okay,
and Drew's just been really receptive to that. And fortunately, we are those collaborators who have the same ideas and then speak them aloud and realize that they're the same ideas. And so he agrees with pretty much everything. I think like a one-shot idea that I've ever suggested he shot down.
Right.
But
it's nice to have that too.
Yeah, absolutely, and with somebody that you trust. But he's generally amenable to my crazy ideas, and I have a proclivity for doing very stupid things on camera. So I'm glad that he's amenable to that. So I had this idea for the song that there's this series of unsettling things happening to me, things that are quite literally close enough to hurt.
Well, that was really one of my next questions was that last month when you did the Savannah in the Round performance that we're doing at B. Matthews, you talked a little bit about an accident that had interrupted your career. And I don't want to get too personal, but I think I would love to know a little bit more about that than was allowed for in just the introduction to a song. I mean,
and this song about proximity to hurt and pain is not about that accident, but the accident informed the entirety of the record. So I had released 2 records in 10 months and was touring them and living on the road in an RV and playing 200 shows in a year. And a woman who was texting and driving ran over me with her minivan while I was on my bicycle and T-boned me and dragged me for quite a distance into an intersection before she put down the phone and realized what she had done. And I had a traumatic spinal injury that devolved and got progressively worse over the course of a number of years, and it resulted in mobility issues and major neurological issues, and I lost 1.5 octaves of my vocal range. I've recovered about 1 octave of it, but I have a different instrument than I did prior to the accident, and it totally changed the course of my life and my work. And I was, leading up to the accident, I was dealing with a lot of professional and creative angst. Right. Just to be totally candid about it, I mean, I was really struggling with my place within this industry, and having put a lot into a couple of records and struggling to find a way to make them successful. And I, this crash came and everything crashed. Right. And I physically could not work, and the height of like my neurological stuff coincided with the onset of the pandemic, which made it easier for me in a way because I kind of couldn't fight it. My
Right.
body could not do its job. I physically couldn't sing. There were times where I couldn't use my left arm, which is rather important for playing the guitar. regardless of what hand dominance you have. You sort of need both.
You do.
And I just couldn't fight it. And then once live music did return, I still hadn't recovered. I was still having a lot of troubles with my voice, and I honestly wasn't sure that I could go back to playing. I didn't. There was this great question of, okay, if my voice comes back, if my mobility comes back, do I even care anymore?
Right. Do I even want to?
Do I even want to? And so I honestly just sort of sat alone in pretty intense isolation for a handful of years, figuring that out. And I started playing professionally when I was 12 years old. It was the first time in my entire life that I had written songs without any expectation or even contemplation about whether or not other people would hear them.
That's a gift.
It was, and I think it really changed what I wrote.
Yeah.
And so eventually I did feel like there was a cohesive body and that there might be something to it. And I decided that I wanted to tentatively pursue beginning to play again or making a record and figuring out how to start a career over, right. at a point when the industry had changed so much and people's attention spans are like that long.
Right.
And why would anybody care about a small independent artist who hadn't released anything in half a decade at that point? And I didn't know what I was going to do and how much of an uphill battle it would be. And I had a few false starts with where I was going to make the record and who I was going to make it with, and still wasn't sure in myself. I was sure in the songs. I believed in them. I believed in them before I believed in my ability to do anything with them.
And a team.
Well,
probably.
I did not yet have a team. No, well, that's the thing that changed it for me.
And it seems like that might have been what was.
It was the missing piece.
What was frustrating prior.
Correct. Yeah, it is. I had had a whole professional team dissolve in the midst of releasing, 2 sequential records, and that was really challenging in being on my own. And I did not expect to find a team after having been away from this for so long. And so I was really just trying to figure out, okay, how do I get on stage again? What can I do with these songs? How can I make a record without any money or momentum? And I ended up meeting Andrew, and it was one of the more serendipitous events of my life, because Andrew and I both started playing professionally when we were teenagers.
Right.
Lived in New York City at the same time, played the same rooms, had the same friends, had overlapping gigs, lived in Nashville at the same time.
But didn't know each other.
And we never met each other.
Wow.
I am certain that, if we could go back in time.
Oh, yeah.
We've stood next to each other at a bar before, but we didn't know it. We never, ever met each other. And then somebody that we both had known in New York suggested that I get in touch with him because he was here now, as though I already knew him. And
right.
I had no clue who he was. It was a totally blind referral. And he called me one day, and I think we talked about instant film for 30 minutes before we talked about music. And, very Quickly found out that we knew all of the same people and had been in all the same places at the same time and had had such similar stories. And
I had a similar experience recently.
Did you?
Where we'd never met, but when we got done talking, we were like, it's so good to catch up.
Right. Yes, I've known you forever, and I'm so relieved to finally meet you.
An hour later.
And that's very much how I feel with Andrew. Yeah. It was very, very clear that the universe had decided to bestow onto me a sibling, a big brother.
Big time.
Yeah. So he appeared, and by the time we started working together, I had not just a record's worth of songs, it was a couple records worth of songs. And so we started sifting through them and figuring out which ones resonated, and they changed, and the track order changed. And then he introduced me to Dylan Puckett and Jalen Reyes, who are members of his band and who are members of 80% of the bands in Savannah.
Yeah. We got a good family, man.
We do.
Yeah.
And he got them to start playing with me. And so then we started, road testing the songs on stage as a band, and it evolved, and eventually there was a clear body of work. and I still wasn't sure, from a financial perspective or a business perspective, how are we going to get this Sisyphean ball rolling
Right.
up the hill again?
Right.
And Andrew basically just said one day, we're only going to make the record by making the record. So
Yeah.
let's just start making it and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
So we worked on it piecemeal over a year and a half. And about half the record we tracked live as a band, and the rest of it Andrew and I did by ourselves. And they're not stripped down songs. They're still full band arrangements, and we just basically flipped a coin for who was going to play what. And it was just because that's what it took to get it done. There were scheduling issues and the dudes weren't available, and Andrew and I were available.
It really does.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's finished and close enough
What
to
I've
hurt
heard.
is the first.
Yeah.
I hope the rest of it sounds good too. Yeah, and close enough to hurt's the first single, so it feels I'm sleeping easier because some of it is finally out. It's not this thing that's just sitting on a hard drive anymore.
Well, there's quite a bit of content available at elliperry.com that I'd highly recommend going and checking out. The recorded material, I definitely, wanted to give you a shout out for. But most of those live videos at the studio, that's all live playing too, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
They're solid takes. Nothing is.
Oh, it sounds
great.
Punched.
That was in the year prior to having the record finished and starting to release the singles. We wanted to put something out showing like, I'm alive. We are playing, because even though I haven't been releasing, anything on streaming platforms up until now, we've been playing really aggressively around Savannah for the last year and a half.
And intended.
I've been, a little aggressive, and I've been touring solo all over the Southeast. So we've been playing a ton and wanted something to show for that. So Drew came into the studio and we did a series of live music videos of songs that were going to be on the record, and they were sort of alternate versions, and just showed what we did live. And it was nice to be able to have that out in the world in advance of releasing this, just to sort of poke our heads up and say hi.
Well, you're saying hi, all right. Well, I really enjoyed being able to hear a stripped down version of some of those songs at Savannah in the Round, and I'm looking forward to next Friday where we hear it all come together with the band, and get to hear a little bit more dynamic therapy.
All the whale sounds. I always joke and say the only reason that Andrew plays with me is because I let him make a lot of really weird whale sounds.
He makes the sounds, man.
He does.
He's got records of just the sounds.
Yep, he does. He does.
I love that. Well, from Victory North in Savannah, Georgia, this is Stan Ray inviting you all to go to victorynorthsavannah.com and get your tickets before they're gone for the 5th annual Homegrown Summer Jam. Thanks, Ellie.
Thanks for having me. We're so excited to be a part of it. It's going to be a great night. Great artist. Really, really proud to be a part of this lineup, and it's going to sell out. So go get the tickets while you can and come see us.
She said.
Looking forward to howling at you.